Yolanda, I mean, we're still basking in the glow of celebrating, modern healthcare is #1 place to work in healthcare. Wow. I know what it means to me, but what does it mean to you?
Oh my God, Robert. Yeah, I'm like you, basking in the glow, but when I think about it personally, it's really validating. It just tells us all the great things we've been doing throughout the years, that it's real and it's embedded in our culture and it's rooted in purpose and respect and an opportunity really for all. And so I just think about how it's impacting our people and that it's just validating. It's very purposeful, I will put it that way.
Totally agree. I mean, I think it validates that the culture's real. We've had these aspirational goals in the past, but it kind of puts a stamp on that validation.
Absolutely.
Personally, I'm just ecstatic for our team, that they're being recognized, that they're being heard, and from a professional standpoint, it kind of goes back to strategy for me. And it goes back that culture and performance go hand in hand.
That's right.
So we've had the performance there for a while, and now the culture's being recognized as well, and they do go hand in hand.
It's great to be at the top, but you think about #1 is like you're all alone, like #1 is #1. And so when I think about that professionally, it's like, what got us here? And you think about the opportunities that our people have to grow within the organization, and this is them saying, this is where I love to work. Like, that just warms my heart personally and professionally, that we're just doing the right thing by our people. But I always think about, now what's next? Like, we're #1 and you can't get higher than #1, but how do we keep #1? And so it's like, how do we elevate what we're doing? And so I just think about what's next.
Yeah, I think we've done that for years.
Mm-hmm.
We've always been looking at how do we support our team members better? How do we support them deeper?
Mm-hmm.
And we've never instituted programs and taken care of our teams to try to be the best place to work in healthcare. We've done it because it's the right thing to do. And it's taking care of our associates. It's working hard in the trenches every single day. Being recognized as being the best place to work, it does put additional energy into it. And what's next? What can we do different? How can we level up? How do we take it up the next notch?
Right.
But we've seen it from an outcome standpoint. You mentioned, career pathways and growth within an organization. Right now, we're promoting, over 50% of our managers are coming from internal fill rates. So that's outstanding. We've always said we wanted to be there. We want to be at 100%. But, at least 50% of our promotions are coming from within. So that's great. We're seeing it from a turnover standpoint.
Absolutely.
Voluntary turnover for the last 12 months is the lowest levels it's ever been. So not only are they saying the great things about how they feel about the culture and the organization, it's reflected in their actions as well.
Yeah, even I think about, to your point, turnover, the engagement scores are up as well. And then my favorite is retention is up. Like, we're the only sector that's 90% retention. And so to be able to say that speaks volumes, that we are at 90% of our salaried associates are retained for over a year.
Yeah, that's outstanding. I'm mystified by that every single month when the report comes out, and it's single-digit management turnover. It's unbelievable. In an industry like we're in, where total turnover for associates can be 70 to 100%, and if you hit 60%, it's outstanding. And we have management in the single digits. We have total turnover in the 30s. Half the best-in-class rate. It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Amazing. So Robert, I think my great start is really how our leaders really get engaged with our organization, having them come to Atlanta to meet all the senior leaders, not just to meet us and hear a presentation, but to develop a relationship. It's really meaningful. We've seen the turnover in the first 90 days tremendously go down because the leaders come here to get that really great start.
Yeah, and I think it starts before we even get to my great start.
Absolutely.
We've got to hire the top talent in the industry and bring them into the organization. So it starts with, posting those positions, do a thorough interview process, understand what a great TouchPoint team member looks like, making sure that they're going to work with their purpose, they're going to bring their whole self to work, and being able to really be ingrained in our mission. So I think it starts there, but it goes right into, from a cultural acclimation standpoint, it gets right into my great start, both for hourly and salary members. But I think a key piece of it is the ongoing development of our team members and making sure that we're supporting them throughout their career journey.
Yeah, and to your point, like once they join the company, having an onboarding ally, someone who's right by your side, navigating with you the first 90 days, really speaks volumes. We've had so much positive feedback from having that ally, and then having them go through leadership development programs. Our frontline staff, like Leadership Academy, has been a tremendous help in helping people navigate their career journey and really understanding where their passions lie. Like, what is it that I want to do? So it gives them exposure and opportunity to explore those passions.
I love that onboarding ally. You rolled out that program, 16, 18 months ago? And basically it's just partnering a new associate that's coming into a very large organization to someone that's been here before. And it's not their boss, it's not someone on their team, but it's someone that can help them understand the organization, understand what tools are available and what partnerships are available, help them go through their journey of navigating a complex environment and be able to do it quickly, as opposed to kind of having to figure it out on their own. So I think that's been a great program that supported our incoming associates.
Just thinking about, so many of our leaders have expressed interest in furthering their education, getting certifications. So I was super excited. Last year we had the opportunity, with your support, to roll out the Scott McClellan Scholarship, and just the opportunity to have four of our leaders apply and get $5,000 scholarships to help towards their education, certifications, finishing degrees, has been really just a tremendous way to give back and pour into our associates as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a win-win on multiple levels, right? It's recognition of Scott McClellan, our founder, and how much he really admired our team members and our associates, how much responsibility he put on himself and others for further education and making sure that everyone is, skilled up to the next role. And a lot of my career is based on development that Scott has put me through in his tenure, and now we're able to pay that forward to, 4 existing associates that want to further their education to create a better career pathway for themselves and for their families.
Yeah, I think we both can speak for that as well, that Scott pours so much into us, and he's a lifelong learner, being an author, and so this really pays homage to who he is and what he stood for and his purpose in life. So it's been a tremendous honor to roll that out. Yeah, so Robert, you mentioned, development and careers, and we think in TouchPoint it's careers for life. Even for Compass, we absolutely want to keep them with us, but TouchPoint is careers for life. And I think what really lends to that is the culture of TouchPoint. People come to work for us because they can live their purpose. It's rooted in our values and what we do. And we think about all the ways we help develop them and give them opportunities to grow. It's really fortunate that we have that opportunity, whether it's internally or third parties like Better Up and Leadership Academy and all those things that we can do to help our associates grow.
Yeah, no, I think it's extremely important. It's only important for the individuals. It's important for the organization. And I think the results are seen by our clients. They're able to get people that have been through the rigors. They've been tested. They have that fortitude of being in combat in the operations, and then they've been developed, they've been educated, they've been elevated so that they can take on more responsibilities and then that next role in their career. And our clients really reap the benefit of that. With over 50% of our promotions happening from internal candidates, it's outstanding. It's a testament to the company and what they're doing from a career development, education, and development standpoint. It's a testament to who we're bringing into the organization as well. The people that take it seriously, they take on the development, because it is a two-way street, right? It takes two people to really do that. And they're owning it, and they're setting themselves up and their families up for better lives and progressing to the next level. So in addition to career pathways, we've got a foundation around compassion, and we strive to be compassionate at every point of human contact. And part of that was the development of Live Your Purpose and how we encourage all of our team members to bring their whole self to work. Talk a little bit about your experience in seeing the Live Your Purpose really be lived out within our team members.
Well, first of all, we start with the loving. It starts with the loving piece. That's our first Live Your Purpose value. And just from that, developing that loving relationship, the agape love, and then the connections. Again, going back to my great start, when we bring people in, that's the first connection they make with senior leadership for many of them. So the connections, and then how we serve, that's what we do, not just serving our clients, our patients, our residents, our customers, but serving each other. I think that's key, how we serve each other. And then I think about growth. We just talked about that. So even coming to work, I can say I'm living my passion at work. and because I've grown with the company and now I'm living my passion. And so that leads to trust, right?
Sure.
And so now I trust the organization, and I think that's what many of our associates do, because now they've gotten those growth opportunities. So they trust that we're looking out for their best interests.
Which leads me to my favorite part, which is winning.
That's right.
And then the absolute best part, and that's celebrating. And we celebrate as a group, we celebrate together.
That's right.
You know, it's not any handful of associates that are driving us to the ultimate mission. It's us as a team and us as a group. And that's my favorite part, is celebrating with all of our associates and team members.
I agree. And it's not just celebrating the big things, it's just the everyday little things, right? That's what makes that's what make their day.
Yeah, I mean, we're celebrating something right now, right? Modern healthcare is #1 place to work. That's a really big thing. But we didn't strive for that. We didn't say that's what we wanted to do. You know, it was the 1,000 little things that we celebrated along the way that ultimately developed a culture to get us to the point where we're at today.
I couldn't agree more, Robert. So when we think about these live your purpose values, Robert, that really lends to a sense of belonging. People feel like they belong as a part of the organization. We're family.
Yeah, I mean, I think once you have a culture of belonging and team members leaning into an organization, the client wins, because what that team member's doing is making it personal. It's not a job. It's not like punching a clock and coming in and doing our work and going home. But you know, they're coming in and they care about their mission. They care about the company's mission. They're bringing their whole self to work, and they're delivering. They're delivering for the patients. They're delivering for our caregivers, and they're delivering for our clients.
And that gives them an opportunity to innovate. Like, that's where we get our best ideas, is now because people feel a sense of belonging, so they want to innovate and they want to share their ideas, which many of the things we rolled out came from those innovative ideas from our associates.
Yeah, so we often talk about innovation, and you know, we always go to the big things, right? Those big rock innovations, you know, the technology rollouts, the complete system overhauls. But those come across, you know, we get 1 or 2 of those great things maybe every year or 18 months. We have hundreds of what we call little I's. Those are the small innovations. Those are the solves that are being figured out in hospitals and in different departments, you know, around the country. And those highly engaged associates that feel really, really attached, they're solving those problems, and they're bringing those best practices to us, and we're able to share them around the country to all of our associates, so that everyone's on the same page and we're all driving to the same mission. Not only is this a sense of belonging drive innovation, but it drives a sense of community and a sense of purpose. Talk a little bit about PAC, what it is, how it's designed, and how it's really driving a sense of purpose through each one of our team members.
The PAC, which is our People and Culture Council, really starts at the top, Robert. It starts with you being the executive sponsor. And so your support has allowed us to expand throughout every state, and now we have a PAC in pretty much every state. And so this is an opportunity for us to take our sector level of objectives and goals around community and serving and giving back, and allowing our associates to be their authentic selves. And our PACs really deliver on all the things we're doing at the sector level: community impact projects, giving back to the community, also inclusive recognition, how we recognize inclusively, milestone anniversaries, all the things we do, giving out gift cards at the sector, at the unit level. And then also just the fact that we have leaders in every market, our RDOs serving as executive sponsors, which leads to a sense of community for that culture. You know, we have our microcultures, I guess that's the best way to say it. So it leads to the microcultures, and now they're leaning into what's the culture in my region, in my market. And so it's been very rewarding to look at that, and not to mention how we've elevated communication with the Shift TVs, and now we have a consistent newsletter that goes out every single month. So I think that lends to a sense of belonging when people can see themselves in their market.
Yeah, I'm extremely excited about the new communication tool. We're able to talk directly to hourly associates, as opposed to going through emails and bulletin boards. Obviously, that's really exciting about where we're going to go on with that. But talk a little bit about how PAC is supporting the associates and team members that are in every single state. Talk a little bit about how we're identifying programs for some that are underserved, that need something or need some additional support, how we're communicating that information to them instead of them having to figure it out on their own.
And to your point, Robert, we've had built some great relationships with community-based organizations that's really helped. And so we've been able to translate a lot of that, like English as a second language courses that have helped us elevate our associates that English is not their first language, and now they can speak fluent English. Also partnering with the community partners to elevate giving back and building for our associates, like giving coat drives and school supplies. Like that was a big one. That's probably the number one, the backpack drive. Yeah. And so we've served, over 1,000 of our associates and their kids. And some of the things that we just simply sometimes take for granted, that we're giving that back to our associates, and they are truly appreciative for every bit of it.
And some of the community-driven events. So right now we're in the process of starting a whole bunch of walks. Talk a little bit about some of those partnerships with the walks that we're doing in each of the major cities in the different states.
So in April, Community Inclusion and Impact Month kicks off. And so we partner with Best Buddies, which is a great organization that focuses on individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We've had about a 4-year relationship with them. So think about, we're doing 10 walks in 10 states, raising thousands of dollars for a great organization. The partnership is amazing, not just because we're raising money, but because we have Best Buddies that work for us in many of our markets as well. So it's a truly great partnership to see how we're impacting the lives of those, not just, we think about disabilities, but really finding their abilities to come work with us as well.
Sure. No, it's been a highly successful program. Yeah. It's obviously something we're passionate about, you and I. We're passionate about it as an organization. And it's about the greater good, right? It's taking individuals with disabilities. It's up training them, helping them develop life skills so that they can be on their own, they can work full-time jobs, they can support themselves, and that's rewarding just seeing it in itself. You can see the light bulbs go off in these individuals when they're contributing to society, when they're excited to come to work, they're excited to learning a new skill. It's really rewarding.
So Robert, this award was really about communication, right? How our associates communicated, how they feel about working for us. What are your thoughts on what our associates are saying about how they feel about us?
Yeah, so we've been very intentional on some of the things that you've helped roll out through their organization. We mentioned the shift process earlier, where we're putting TVs and be able to communicate directly to associates, hourly level associates in the building during lineup meetings, before shifts, after shifts, in break rooms. I think that's the next level of it. But I think, winning Best Place to Work in Healthcare by modern healthcare, I think that's kind of looking in the past, not necessarily what we're planning to do, but what we've done. And to me, it tells us that there's a lot of trust for the organization. We do surveys to gauge how our associates feel about us. And, it's one thing to do a survey, but I think what this is telling us is that they're feeling heard because it's turning back into action. We're going back and communicating what we've heard from them and what we intend to do about it, how we're going to make their jobs, their roles better, how we're going to increase communication and give them more information on a more regular basis, how we're going to create career pathways and let them know what the next step looks like for them, and how we're going to develop them along the way to be able to realize that next step. To me, it's validating that some of the things that we have going on in the last year or two, it's actually being realized, and our associates are hearing it, they're feeling it, and they're supporting it. If they didn't support what we're doing, they wouldn't be voting us the number one place to work in modern healthcare.
So Robert, as we get ready to head out, and I'm just reflecting back on what really got us here. We've been named for 4 or 5 years, but what got us to number one? So when I think back, I'm thinking of when we had DIACs, Diversity Inclusion Action Councils, and it was just at the sector level. It was us doing it. And I think back to now, I think of how now it's ingrained in the units, all the way to the unit level. We express it in the shift TVs, like you said, to our frontline associates. But I think having those leaders support the PACs, the People and Culture Councils in their markets, and all the great things that they're doing really says it's ingrained and we're truly doing the right thing. So what's your reflection?
That was the one I was thinking of, to be honest. I think a combination of that, yes. Having our associates being heard, being listened to, seeing action that's taken based on their advice, and that action can be a multitude of things. It could be things like the little I that we mentioned earlier, and the innovations that are coming up organically through the organization, and their voices being heard, their solutions are being heard, their solutions are being broadcast to other team members. So I think that's a big deal. But yeah, I think going back to the DIACs, to the PACs, being highly ingrained in the local community, serving our team members that are locally in each state was a huge turning point as an organization. I think outside of that, consistency from how we're leading the organization. It's one thing to be a flash in the pan and to be able to do something once or twice, but for our associates to truly vote you number one in modern healthcare, then they've got to hear it on a consistent basis. They've got to feel it on a consistent basis. They've got to be empowered and invested in on a consistent basis.
Yeah, when you think about consistency, to your point, I'm thinking about, again, reflecting back like 2 years ago, my great start, when we were begging people to come.
Sure.
Now people are saying, when am I going?
Yeah.
And so I just think about now people are coming in and they're staying the whole time and they're asking for more.
Sure.
And so I just reflect on that as well.
Yeah, no, I think we've intentionally invested in the people side of our organization.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of companies invest heavy in tech and invest heavy in other innovations, and we do as well. But we've intentionally reinvest a significant portion of our investments to invest in our people. That's the most important part of our organization, and that's something we take very seriously, the culture side of it, but also the people and the people development side, to make sure that we are building the career pathways and we're elevating our team members so that they can fill those positions as they're growing into them.
Can't agree more. It's all about the experience. How do we elevate the experience? As you said at the beginning, it starts with the candidate experience. How do we elevate the candidate experience, which leads to the associate experience, which leads to Careers for Life with TouchPoint?
So the one thing I hope people take away from being voted number one place to work in healthcare is that our culture is real. It's not aspirational. It's not something that we've just dreamed and set as a goal, but it's being felt by the organization. And I think that's done because we've integrated it into the organization from an operations standpoint. We've been very intentional on how we go out and we hire new team members, how we onboard those new team members, how we support them through the first 2 or 3 months of the process, and making sure that we're giving them a mentor that's going to walk them through the organization. And then when they're highly trained into their job functions, we take it a step forward. We're developing those associates for that next step so that when the growth comes, they're ready to step into those shoes.
And that's what living your purpose is, living your values. It's living our values every day. It's not, our values are not just words on a piece of paper. It's really, truly how we live them.
That's right.
Purposefully.
And our goal, compassion at every point of human contact.